Hello and welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. The inner line permit issue rages on in Meghalaya. Groups like the Confederation of Meghalaya Social Organizations or CoMSO says the agitation seeking ILP in the hill state will go on until the government concedes the demand. In fact, the CoMSO is gearing up to hold a statewide sit-in demonstration on the 4th of December and have called upon all the 60 MLAs in Meghalaya to hold sit-in demonstrations in New Delhi to push the centre to concede the demand. Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has already met Union Home Minister Amit Shah on the matter. The issue needs to be viewed in the backdrop of signals that had emerged from New Delhi that the contentious Citizenship Amendment Act would not apply in states governed by the ILP. Groups in Meghalaya too had opposed the CAA. Perceptions vary on the ILP demand. There is a school of thought which believe that restricting movement of people could lead to isolation of a state that has long enjoyed free movement of people. The other viewpoint is that unrestricted entry of outsiders is a grave threat to the indigenous tribes people of Meghalaya. Again, the MDA government in the state is a part of the BJP-led NDA that swears by the One India concept. So, where does the Conrad Sangma government stand on this issue? But yes, it is also true that the identity and culture of the indigenous people have to be protected at all cost. The challenge now is how to strike a balance. To discuss the issue, I have Robert Kharjarin. Robert June Kharjarin is the chairman of the Confederation of Meghalaya Social Organization. I also have Jemino Mauto, General Secretary of the UDP, part of the ruling alliance. Joining me also is Patricia Mukim, editor of the Shillong Times. Amparin Lingdo, Meghalaya Congress leader, also joins me from Shillong. And I also have Donald Thaba, the vocal General Secretary of the Khasi Students' Union. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Notice Tonight. Let me go straight to you, Mr. Robert June Kharjarin, the chairman of CoMSO, which is spearheading the inner line movement in Meghalaya. Mr. Kharjarin, there is no two opinion. There is no two opinion that some protection is needed to preserve the culture and identity of the indigenous people of Meghalaya. Nobody is debating that. But my question to you, Mr. Robert June Kharjarin, is whether ILP is the best option or whether ILP is the only option to protect the indigenous people of Meghalaya.
Okay, answering your question, Mr. Wasbir, you see, ILP is not an option. But as of now, with CAA come into place, and with the provision in the CAA which say that CAA will not be implemented in the state where ILP is implemented, so we can say that yes, ILP is the best option with regard to the protection of the indigenous people in the state of Meghalaya. But apart from that, of course, we have the others law and mechanism which will go a long way toward the protection of the indigenous people in the state of Meghalaya. Let me put you in this way. Why ILP? You see, when we talk about protection of the indigenous people in the state of Meghalaya, we need to have a law or a mechanism which is clear in all fronts. And the most challenging is that whether that law is valid or not within the Constitution of India. That is the most important thing. So let me tell you why ILP. ILP is a law which already implemented in 4 states of Northeast. So it's very clear that it is legally valid. That is the first thing. And the Honorable Gauti High Court, in one of the cases, that is the Northeast Plain People Trader Youth Federation, when they challenged this validity of the law, the Honorable High Court has already held that yes, this law is legally valid. And even the Honorable Supreme Court of India on July 2019 dismissed the PIL filed by the BJP leader Ashwin Kumar which he challenged the validity of ILP in Netherlands. So when come into the law point of views, ILP is clear from all fronts. So that's why it's very important that ILP is implemented in the state of Meghalaya too.
Okay.
And the other thing is like this. When the question was asked before the Rajya Sabha by one Sabir Ali MP, which he said that what is the main objective of ILP, the Honorable Home Minister at that point of time, RPN Singh, he clearly said that the purpose of ILP is to prevent other Indian citizens and foreigners to settle in ILP states.
Okay.
With an intention to protect the indigenous people population of the state of Meghalaya. That's why when it comes to the context of CAA, which we all oppose it, when it comes to the legal point of views, so we are of the opinion that yes, ILP is one of the best mechanisms.
All right.
In protecting the indigenous people in the state of Meghalaya.
Okay, I will expand on this, Mr. Kharjarin. Let me quickly go to you, Donald Thaba. I'm coming to you, Ms. Patricia Mukim, Amprin Lingdo, and Mr. Jamino Mauto. Donald Thaba, a lot of people are saying or asking this question, as I have asked Mr. Kharjarin, that yes, nobody is saying that the protection is not necessary. Protection is... Okay, we have lost that line with Donald Thaba. Ms. Patricia Mukim, is ILP the best option? Is ILP the only option? Because a lot of people are saying that, by going for an ILP regime, it runs the risk of isolating a state. At the same time, it is also true that that indigenous tribal people, because of their small strength, small population, needs a lot of protection.
See, the ILP issue got traction after the CAA was passed last year by the Parliament of India. And we are all in uniformity that we resist and that we need to resist the CAA because, it's going to give citizenship to so many people based on 2014 as the cutoff line. So that is a very dangerous proposition. But to think that the ILP is going to solve our problem is, I think, taking it too far. And I'm speaking here on my own behalf because, there is such a thing as the politics of representation. I don't represent anyone. And in fact, if we are trying to pass an act like the inner line permit, we should have had a referendum. People should be able to speak up. Nobody can represent the entire population of Meghalaya. None of those 60 MLAs and their political parties had the ILP in their manifestos. So today, if those 60 MLAs went and voted unanimously for the ILP, they've done it without the consent of people. So they've taken this politics of representation too far.
Okay. Okay.
Let me say a few more points, Wasbir. See, if we are asking for the ILP, we need to do some homework. Hello?
Carry on.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I've lost connection.
No, I can hear you.
Hello?
Carry on. I can hear you. Okay. Okay. We have lost that line to Patricia Mukim. We'll quickly connect with her once again. Mr. Jamino Mauto, how easy or difficult it has been for you to take a clear stand on the ILP? Because the UDP is a part of the ruling MDA alliance. On one hand, your government is trying to boost tourism in Meghalaya. A lot of people will say tourism is the main industry in Meghalaya, but a lot of people will argue that protection of the community is more important than economic matters like tourism. What is your stand? How is the coalition handling this issue? Mr. Mauto.
Yeah, Mr. Wasbir, sorry about the poor connectivity. Well, let me begin by saying this, that we are proud to be part of this nation, of this country. And I would like to begin by saying that from childhood, we have always been taught that we live in a land of unity in diversity. And our country also has thrived and progressed in this cultural and religious plurality. And we as ethnic minorities also have relatively contributed to national development and to the progress of this great nation. In fact, freedom fighters have also engaged themselves in the freedom struggle for independence from the colonial regime. And for decades altogether, the indigenous people of the Northeast have struggled for the protection, preservation, and safeguarding their tradition, heritage, and uniqueness, and so on and so forth. And in this struggle, lives have been lost, blood has been spilled, people have been displaced and dislocated, and agitations has taken a heavy toll on the, on the economy and the social security of the people. But let me tell you that the issue of illegal infiltration has always been the subject of debate. And the fact that infiltration is a problem of the Northeast, nobody can deny it. Nobody can deny this. And if we talk about the demographic changes that is also happening in the Northeast and also in the state of Meghalaya, nobody also can deny this. The fact is that this is a genuine problem, genuine concern of the entire Northeastern region, and this should not be misunderstood as xenophobia. I think this should be understood as the survival instinct of the ethnic minorities residing in the Northeastern region.
Okay.
And also in particular Meghalaya.
Okay.
We have been demanding from the government of India through the state government for coming out with a proper mechanism to check and control the illegal immigration and influx of people from outside.
Yeah.
And I would like to mention here that from the year 1999, I was also part of the working group. And at that point of time, Mr. T.H. Rangat was the then Home Minister. I was part of the one of the NGOs at that particular point of time, and we had discussed at length on the merits and demerits of the implementation of the ILP in the state of Meghalaya.
I'll come
as
back.
per the observations, yes.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Mathur. Very important point. You said that, there is protection to the indigenous community should not be viewed as xenophobia, because it is not simple as that. That is what Mr. Jamino Mathur is saying. Let me also go to Ms. Amparin Lingdo. I think we have once again lost the line to Donald Thaba. Maybe we can change the connection. We can change a different mobile or something like that. We'll try. Let me go to Amparin Lingdo. Ms. Amparin Lingdo, first of all, can we hear from you clearly what is the Congress party's stand on the ILP issue in Meghalaya? I'm asking this question because Congress is the main opposition party in the state.
Very clearly, our stand for so many years, right from 89 onwards, whenever the Congress has partnered with any other political party, on the matter of ILP, we were clear that because it was always demanded for by civil society for years together, the opinion of the party was very clear, and that is, let us pursue it. But when we saw that there was never a positive indication from the government of India towards granting the implementation of ILP in the state of Meghalaya, when we were in government in 2013, 14, 15, 16, there were series of meetings between us and various members of the civil society, And we had come up with our own state act that would, in a large extent, also cover features of the protection of the indigenous communities in the state of Meghalaya.
Okay. Okay, I don't know whether I'm once again connected to Donald Thaba or not. Okay, we will go to him as soon as the connection is up. Now, you know, Mr. Robert Kharjarin, your organization has called a statewide sit-in demonstration on the 4th of December. You have also appealed to all the 60 MLAs in the state cutting across party lines to go to New Delhi and sit in and stage a sit-in demonstration. Now, what are you trying to achieve? Lot of people will say that this is a pressure tactics because the assembly has already passed a unanimous resolution supporting the ILP move.
Okay, before I answer your question, Mr. Wasbir, I would like to rebut to this, some of the points raised by Conrad Sangma. You see, ILP in 2012, when the high-level committee chaired by Mr. Bindu Landong, it's involved all party. Congress was there and other party also was there. So even on that committee, they unanimously passed of implementation of ILP. Even Congress MLA also in 2012 agree on that. And when Conrad Sangma government came into powers, before they introduced the resolution, they already hold an all-party meeting. If the MLA does not represent the entire people of Meghalaya, then who will? What referendum are you talking about? We cannot have a referendum every now and then. If the MLA does not represent the voice of the people, then who will represent in a democratic country? And with regard to the other point of views, you see, Mr. Wasbir, ILP demand has been started in 1950. I will tell you why. When the borderline subcommittee was set up, in order to shape the tribal people, the tribal on the hill, the Hussain hill, they've already expressed that they are fearing of being outnumbered on their own land. They've already said that they still want to retain Bengal as a frontier regulation. It has been reflected in the borderline subcommittee. The same one that we entered in, we have been raising this issue. Now India is about will celebrate 75 years, and the resolution was passed unanimously. What is there left to be discussed? So it's high time that as a state of Meghalaya should take this issue very seriously. Both political party, both CSO, both the citizens of the state of Meghalaya, I think it's high time that we should speak with one voice, and that voice is that let's have ILP in the state of Meghalaya to ensure that the generation and the people of the state of Meghalaya is safe and secure. And we are also of the opinion that ILP is not an isolation mechanism. And if you allow me to justify this point, I can allow.
I am coming back to you, Mr. Robert. Mr. Donald Thaba, the same question. Sorry, you know, the line was very bad with you. Now, my question to you, why is it that, you know, suddenly the ILP movement has gained momentum? Because states like Arunachal Pradesh, states like Mizoram, states like Nagaland had ILP from so long. You have been demanding the ILP from 1950, but why is it that it is only now that the Meghalaya is intensifying the ILP demand? Is it only because of the CAA that has recently been implemented? Mr. Donald Thaba.
Who told you that the ILP, you see, whoever told you that the ILP agitation has been intensifying ever since the implementation of the Citizenship Amendment Act is not true. Because I've spoken many a times that the ILP demand in Meghalaya was started in 1985 by the Khasi Students' Union. And similarly, it became dormant, and then the agitation further, you know, it becomes more vocal during the 2000 when Bapua Lungdo was the president of the KSU. And then again in 2013, during the leadership of Daniel Kriem also, was intensified ILP movement, demand for an ILP mechanism in Meghalaya. Yes, CAA is a massive threat to indigenous people, not only of Meghalaya, but to the entire northeast region. But, at the same time, we've been observing that there is a huge, a massive flow of, unrated flow of outsiders into the state of
1971. When
the war of
they
1971.
Meghalaya, and after 1971, in a short span of about 5 to 6 years, they have their own representatives in the Legislative Assembly of Meghalaya, which clearly portrays the situation here in Meghalaya, which can change overnight. So CAA is also can change the demographic structure overnight. But after 1971, when there is a massive flow of immigration, indigenous populations have been suffering. Localities after localities in Shillong and other remote areas, we are witnessing the indigenous people being overwhelmed. That's why we are demanding ILP, and we're demanding also other mechanisms.
And we're demanding also other mechanisms, other measures, so as to control and combat this unregulated flow of immigrants into our state.
Now,
so we from the Khasi Students Union, like we said, we are
now
also.
Now,
we will continue to keep our demand for ILP strong as always.
Now, Donald Thaba, do you hold the successive governments responsible for Meghalaya not having the ILP?
Yes, since the inception of the state of Meghalaya, the first government is itself responsible, because in the previous preamble of the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873, the Khasi and Jaintia Hills were clearly mentioned that it was included in the part of the ILP. But then nobody gave any due importance to that, and that's why ILP was neglected. According to the rules of the governor, the acts, the powers of the governor, he can also implement ILP in Meghalaya. But then last year, during December 11, when Manipur was inserted into the ILP regime, we observed that the word Khasi and Jaintia Hills was removed. So that is a very, very sad moment for us. So none of the government are taking this issue seriously, which means that if they do not take the ILP issue seriously, that means they are not concerned about the welfare of the indigenous people. See, I'll tell you one thing. In Manipur, the ILP agitation started in 2013, 2015. And what did the government of Manipur did? It passed one resolution and sent it to the central government for the implementation of ILP in Manipur. It was rejected. What did the Manipur government did again? Send another resolution.
Absolutely.
Rejected again. Then for the third time, they sent another resolution. So it was rejected again. So maybe it is because of because the government is being proactive, that the central government, the state government is like a buffer between the people of a particular state and the central government.
Absolutely.
So what the state government is conveying to the central government, that is what they will believe. That's why they gave ILP. But for us, it was only last year on December 19, 2019, that the Assembly of Meghalaya passed a resolution for the implementation of ILP. Who knows? Maybe the central government doesn't know that we want ILP also.
Okay, Donald, that is a strong message. The Khasi Students Union General Secretary making strong statement there that the successive governments in the state have not put the due pressure. I'll have to go for a break, but very quickly, Mr. Jamino Mautho, can the MDA government today assure, let's have everybody on the screen, Mr. Mautho, can the MDA government today assure that the government is going to honor the unanimous resolution in the State Assembly and bring in or push for ILP in Meghalaya?
I think we should appreciate the effort of this present government, this coalition government, where all the coalition partners have unanimously come together and adopt this resolution in the assembly. That itself shows the thinking on the part of this government. And this government is trying to aggressively pursue the matter with New Delhi. And I hope that New Delhi also will respond positively to the voice of the people of the state of Meghalaya. And New Delhi should not adopt a fragmented approach as far as the northeastern states is concerned. We have ILP in Mizoram, we have ILP in Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and recently ILP in Manipur. Now, why is it that the same ILP cannot be implemented in the state of Meghalaya?
All right. Point noted. Mr. Motho, I'm coming back to you. I'll go for a break. I'll come back to Ms. Patricia Mukim because Mr. Khajareen has made some comments, and I'll go to all the other panelists. But let me tell you, viewers, all those who are watching this program on our live streaming, there are a lot of reactions, and a lot of people are saying that no ILP, no rest. And one of the viewers has commented that only 10% of the people in Meghalaya depend on tourism. So that should not be an excuse for not bringing in the ILP regime in Meghalaya. We'll go for a short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Welcome back. We are in the middle of a very engaging discussion on this hot topic in Meghalaya, ILP. The demand for ILP has peaked. The CoMSO has given a call for a statewide sit-in on the 4th of December and have appealed to all the 60 MLAs to go to New Delhi and have a sit-in demonstration to pressurize the center to concede their demand. Ms. Amparin Lingdo, do you see the ILP as an antidote to the CAA? I'm asking you this question because the demand for ILP in Meghalaya has been there for long, spearheaded by the KSU since 1985 or even before that. This demand actually has been there from 1950, but it's also a fact that the fear generated by the CAA actually intensified the demand for ILP. Amparin Lingdo.
Unfortunately, the government of India is looked at as the mother of all states. And when there were so many resolutions since 1989 onwards, all sent by various governments of the day, all belonging to a variety of political parties, when this was sent to the government of India, and when the government of India never ever permitted the government of Meghalaya to implement the ILP, there was this complacency and there was this acceptance of the fact that, okay, because we are a transit state and because we are one of the states which shares the largest and longest international border with Bangladesh next to Assam, so we had conceded to that, and hence we somehow came to terms with the fact that at least the MRSSA would be implemented. So we had kept ourselves contented. But when the CEA was implemented by this government, and the act was passed out of the blue, government of India on their own, in the floor of the parliament, announced that the ILP will become operational in the entire region of Nagaland. So when that happened, it sparked a sudden resentment. It sparked a sudden anguish because there was this concept that in states where the ILP was implemented, CAA will not be operational.
Right.
So that is the technical point where this entire
Okay.
demand came back in.
All right, all right. Ms. Patricia Mukim, Mr. Robert June Kharjaring said that, he said that it is not possible to go for a referendum on every single issue, and he said that this is an issue which no referendum is necessary because this is an issue concerning protecting the indigenous communities of a state.
See, I accept all that, but I also want to ask all these pressure groups whether they have an economic vision. Now we are in a world which is increasingly getting globalized. Why would anyone want to come and set up an industry in an ILP state? We haven't done enough homework. We don't have enough data to tell us whether tourism in states like Mizoram, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and now Manipur is taking off. Tourism happens only on specific days like the Hornbill Festival, the Zero Music Festival.
Yeah.
In Meghalaya, you don't need to have these specific festivals. People come. Once you have an ILP regime, and I'm telling this to those people who think tourism will not be affected, there is a psychological block, there is a mental block in going to a state which has an ILP regime. And we do not really, it's not only about isolation, it's also about insulation.
Okay, Ms. Patricia Mukim, hold on. Let Robert June Kharjaring respond. Mr. Kharjaring, you have heard what Ms. Patricia Mukim has said. Patricia Mukim, hold your thoughts. Let's get Robert to respond. Yes, Robert.
Okay, I would respond the first point on tourism. Okay, you asked about data. I will give you the data now. Okay, you see, let's put like this. Apart from ILP, there are other mechanisms in India where what we call the prohibited area permit, PAP, and the restricted area permit. In this area, foreigners were not allowed to visit or enter in those areas without a permit. And PAP and RAP is implemented in the entire state of Sikkim. In Meghalaya, we do not have PAP and RAP. So let's put the data between Meghalaya and Sikkim in tourism sectors. I will give you a data, and you can verify this. In 2011, there are about 23,000 tourists, foreign tourists visit Sikkim. In Meghalaya, only 4,000. In 2012, 26,489 foreigners visit Sikkim. In Meghalaya, only 5,000 plus. In 2013, about 20.
Let's have everybody on the screen.
698. Yes. 21,698 foreigners visit Sikkim, but in the state of Meghalaya, only 6,000 plus. So if this restricted mechanism like PAP, RAP, ILP is a hindrance to tourism, then why did Sikkim get more foreign tourism than
I think that is an interesting point. That is an interesting point.
That is the first thing. Secondly, you look at Arunachal Pradesh. In 2013, Arunachal Pradesh get an emerging destination award, second Renaissance. In 2019, Arunachal Pradesh bagged the best emerging green tourism destination award. In 2016,
absolutely.
The Today Travelers Award.
Right. You have made your point.
That Arunachal get the best adventure tourism destination.
Robert, yeah, you cannot.
With ILP could harness tourism. So
yes.
I would like to conclude on tourism is like this. If we want to promote tourism in the state of Meghalaya, let's have a better tourism policy. ILP is not the only factor that will determine tourism. Tourism can be improved if we have better connectivity, if we have proper report, if we, have the infrastructures like
right.
like accessibility,
I think you have,
good governance, and the most important factors in order to promote tourism is safety, security, and normalcy. I think you agree with me on that.
Okay, very important point.
If you do not have ILP in the state of
Point
Meghalaya,
noted,
there is
Mr.
no
Robert
normalcy, there is
Kharjaring.
no safety, there is
Robert Kharjarin, point noted. I think it's a very strong argument made by Mr. Robert Kharjarin. But he's saying that Sikkim has ILP, at Sikkim, look at the numbers of tourists in Sikkim. Arunachal Pradesh has ILP, look at the number of tourists in Arunachal Pradesh. I'm coming to you, Donald. Mr. Mautho, how do you respond to this very strong statement made by Robert John Kharjarin that, by citing the example of Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh, where tourism is flourishing, particularly in Sikkim? Jamino Mautho.
I would agree fully with Robert Kharjarin when he said that, it does not really depend whether the ILP is there or not. See, if you talk about the levels of development, as far as the northeastern states is concerned, now Meghalaya, which is not having the ILP, can we say that Meghalaya is also developing at a very fast pace, at a very rapid state? It is not like that. So whether ILP is there or it is not, see, you cannot link it with the the development of the state. Visitors will always come. See, even if there are barbed wires, even if there are fence, visitors, they will always see. If Meghalaya is looked at to be a paradise, or the northeastern states for that matter, I think visitors will come. So I would agree with what Robert Kharjarin is saying. So let us not link the two.
Okay, don't link the two. Donald Thaba, Robert June Kharjarin is asking that, you should have a proper tourism policy. Now, my question is, organizations like yours, the KSU, these are very influential organizations. I am sure you are also supporting tourism because that will ultimately help the local people, isn't it? So, what kind of a policy are you expecting?
You see, if we talk about tourism and ILP, these are two different issues. They may be interlinked, but they're not overlap. You see, because if you want ILP, according to the concept of those who are anti-ILP, them ILP is like a wall. It's like the Berlin Wall, or maybe the Great Wall of China, or maybe the Iron Curtain that exists during the Cold War. It's not like that, okay? It is not a barrier for people coming and entering the state. It is more or less like a glass barrier with multiple doors, which will regulate the entry of people coming from outside, and then they can leave afterwards. ILP is a tool whereby the indigenous populace will not be affected by the unregulated flow.
Wanted to come to Meghalaya, he needs only to apply for an ILP.
Okay.
And in this world of technology, everything is digitalized. They can simply, apply it, download, come into the border of the state, show the receipt, the pass into the counter, get inside the state, and after you've done with whatever you're doing inside the state, leave back and show the pass again. So there is, why is everybody making a fuss that ILP is going to affect tourism? ILP is not going to affect tourism.
Okay.
Look at other states, like as you see, like everyone had said earlier, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, even Nagaland also. If we look at Hornbill Festival, people from all over the world throng into the state. Why?
Right.
ILP is not a problem.
Okay, we have a very poor audio line. We'll fix that audio line and come back to Donald Thaba. Amparin Lingdo, what is your perception of this debate that ILP would amount to isolating the state and retard development? And Donald Thaba is saying that we should not link the two. Same is the stand taken by Mr. Robert June Kharjarin and as well as Mr. Jamino Mautho, that two issues are different. So, do you have a view on whether ILP may lead to isolation? This is a theory being propounded by some people at least. Amparin.
Yes, Wasbir. Every act will have its positives and its negatives. Now, when you look at the state, all the states where the ILP is in operation, there will be some amount of hesitation on the part of tourists to visit the state, and there will not be as much freedom in this entry in and out of the state, because an ILP document becomes completely necessary for any visitor, whether for a short stay or a long stay. Now, if you look at Mizoram, if you look at Nagaland, we have seen that there will be these deterrents, and visitors will be hesitant, especially if the system for the application of the ILP is slow and takes time, and if it is especially dependent on network in the region, because you already know that we are very disadvantaged in the spread of network coverage in our entire state.
Okay.
Having said that, yes, there will be difficulties. Maybe there will be a shortfall in the flow of tourists as compared to previous years. But there are other more important interests that supersedes this industry of tourism.
Okay, Ms. Patricia Mukim, the MDA government, Mr. Jamino Mautho is there. I'll give him enough time to respond. The present MDA government is a part of the NDA. And we all know that the NDA is led by the BJP. And the BJP swears by the One India concept. Now, don't you think that somewhere a lot of people are saying there is a school of thought, and this is we are very much aware that there are a lot of views on the ILP issue. The majority view in Meghalaya, of course, is in favor of the ILP, but we live in a democracy. There are other views coming out, which is saying that when the BJP or the NDA swears by the One India concept, somewhere or the other it becomes very difficult for the NPP-led government, which is NPP is a part of the NDA, to actually push with all its serious intentions, push for the ILP. Do you think it is far-fetched? Do you buy this argument?
See, Wasbir, the NDA itself is full of ambiguities. If it's talking of a One India, then why has it granted ILP to Manipur? This is a question I want to ask the NDA at some point. Now, we have managed to externalize our problem a lot. We hardly look inwards as a state. And I would like to bring this issue because we are talking ILP too much and we are forgetting that there are other issues that impinge on our land, because the reason why we want ILP is essentially to protect our land, to prevent it from being alienated. Now, already in Meghalaya, according to the 2011 census, 76% of rural Meghalaya is landless. And some of us have been calling for a cadastral survey so that we know who this land has gone to. If 76% of Meghalaya's rural population is landless, then who is owning all the land? Now, these are issues that no pressure group will ever take up. Why is the demand for a cadastral survey not taken up? Isn't this an issue also, landlessness? We are only afraid of land being alienated to non-tribals, but we are not afraid of land being alienated to an elite tribal constituency. These are double standards that do not stand us in good stead. I'm sorry to bring this issue, although we are talking ILP, because we are only trying to externalize the problem. We are not looking inwards. And Section 7 of the Eastern Bengal Frontier Regulation Act, Section 7 talks about not alienating land to the non-natives.
Let me bring in, before going once again to Robert Kharjarin and Donald Thaba, Mr. Mautho, can you respond to the question that I asked Patricia Mukim and her comment itself?
I did not hear her response very clearly. Hello?
Yes, carry on.
I cannot hear a response very clearly. What was the question again?
No. Question was basically that a lot of people are also saying that the identity issue, whether you can have an identity issue going on at the same time, whether you can push for ILP, and whether the BJP's One India concept will clash with your governments, because your government is also a part of the NDA.
See, there is a larger ideological crisis out here, and there is also this conflict between the ideology of regionalism and nationalism. But let me remind you that if we talk about earlier dispensations also, as far as the government of India is concerned, there has been provisions in the Constitution of India, and we have the 6th schedule that is for the protection and the safeguarding of the indigenous people who are residing in the northeastern states of India. So the efforts has also been there on the part of the government. But when we're talking about the problems that has emanated now in the present time, so we feel that a proper effective mechanism has to be there, because this is a genuine concern of the people of the northeastern region and of the state of Meghalaya.
All right.
Because it is not only about giving citizenship right to the people coming from outside the state, but when they enjoy the political rights also, then there is also a danger as far as if you talk about the governance in the state of Meghalaya.
Okay. All right. Mr. Robert, I'm running short of time. Your final comments. Are you going to carry on with your movement until and unless the ILP is considered? Do you think there is some kind of a way out? Is there an in-between solution, or do you think ILP is the only solution? Final comments from you, Mr. Robert Kharjarin.
Until now, we are of the opinion that ILP is the best solution among others. I do not say from the beginning, I say that yes, there may be others. But as I tell you that since we have analyzed it, since we have do proper research and all this, ILP is the best option that we have at this point of time. That is second thing. And the second thing is done. I would like to appeal to the Honorable Government of India that look, as I refer to the documentation like borderless subcommittee, that our people from day one, when India independence is established, we have already expressed this concern. We have fought for too long. The other states, like Manipur also, they have been fighting. You have honored the state of Manipur. You have retained ILP in other 3 states. They are indigenous. We are indigenous too. Please don't treat us stepmotherly.
Right.
We are also indigenous people with every right to protect ourselves in our own backyard. That is the message, and we would like to see that our chief ministers, the MPs, the MLA, all the party will take this matter
I'm
seriously
running.
and pursue this
Sorry,
matter
Mr. Kharjarin. I'm running completely short of time. Mr. Donald Thaba, your final comments. Mr. Donald Thaba, your final comments. The KSU is going to support the CoMSO agitation on the 4th of December, or do you have your separate program in hand?
You see, we have started our agitations right from the 3rd week of November, and we will continue to pressurize the central government to grant ILP into our state. Well, as a matter of fact, like I've said earlier, the most important thing is that people are demanding ILP in social media, in every outlet that they can get a chance, they're demanding ILP. Like I've said earlier, that ILP is not like the Wall of Berlin or the Great Wall of China or the Iron Curtain. It is more or less like a glass barrier with multiple doors to regulate the entry of people.
One more thing,
so
Donald.
the movement will continue, but what we need is that
Donald, one question.
Okay, ask, please.
Let me
Well,
take this opportunity of asking you, the non-tribal people in Meghalaya who have been staying there for generations, you have said this before also, they have nothing to fear, right? ILP is for everybody who are genuine citizens of Meghalaya. Genuine residents of Meghalaya, rather.
You see, let me complete because that is in the process of what I'm saying. You see, if ILP is being implemented in the state of Meghalaya, you see, there is a probability that it will boost the earnings, the livelihood of the local populace. Because as we can see, people who take trips to Sora, to to Dauki, Shnongpada, they stay in Assam hotels in Guwahati, and they book a cab from Guwahati and visited those areas, and after that they went back to Guwahati. Well, if ILP is there, then they will have to apply ILP and come back with that same ILP.
Right.
If you want to visit 2 or 3 places, that means you will have to apply ILP almost every day. But if ILP is there, that means people will, tourists will be compelled to stay in Meghalaya, stay in hotels and resorts owned by the locals. They will have to book cabs owned by the locals. They will have to buy from shops that were owned by the locals. So actually ILP will be a benefit to the local populace. So what is the question that you were asking me? Can
No,
you please,
I'm absolutely running short of time. I just have 10 seconds left. Donald, the non-tribal people who have been residing in Meghalaya for generations, they have nothing to fear.
Yes,
is that
I can remember your question. Yes. They have nothing to fear. Actually, because the non-tribals who have been staying here since the pre-British era, yes, we are demanding for a cut of year, because a cut of year can determine who is a genuine or a non-genuine non-tribal. So we have been demanding that since our past leaders in 1971. If ILP is being implemented, that means there will be no outside or illegal immigration inside the state. So that means the non-tribals who are residing there, they will have no fear about ILP.
Absolutely, very clear statement there from the KSU General Secretary. I'm running absolutely, I've run out of time. I thank all my panelists for participating in this very engaging discussion, and the viewers for watching the program. Good night and goodbye.